It is again my distinct honor to be the moderator for today's awards dinner press conference presented by the Elite Media Network. As a brief outline of today's schedule, we'll first hear from NFF President and CEO Steve Hatchell in just a few moments. Then we will have the announcement of the 2025 MEAC Players of the Year. And then we will meet the members of the 2025 NFF College Football Hall of Fame class who will be formally inducted during the National Football Foundation's 67th Annual Awards Dinner presented by Las Vegas. We're going to break the Hall of Famers into two groups this year with breakout sessions after each group. Group 1 will run from approximately 9:30 to 10:15. That will include Hall of Famers Gregg Carr, Henderson, Michael Huff, Jim Kleinsasser, Alex Mack, Terrence Metcalf, Darren Smith, Michael Vick, and Coach Nick Saban. Group 2 will run from 10:30 to 11:15 and will include Montee Ball, Blake Elliott, Gregg Eslinger, Terry Hanratty, Graham Harrell, Haloti Natu, Steve Slayton, Dennis Thurman, Ryan Yarbrough, and coaches Larry Corver and Urban Meyer. The NFF would like to thank all of its partners and sponsors for their support, especially the Las Vegas Convention and Visitors Authority, the presenting sponsor of tonight's awards dinner. We also want to give a special thanks to Elite Media Network, today's press conference sponsor. Elite Media Network is the premier streaming home of the college football game of the week, connecting millions of fans to the biggest matchups in college football, whether they're driving, streaming, or tailgating, and it's always free. We also want to recognize Sinclair Broadcast Group's local affiliate, KSNV News 3, for their efforts this morning on helping today's press conference. Please be reminded that media are welcome to use the interview room next door, which is Go Gun 2, and open all day until midnight. It's also available for breakout sessions following the press conference. Clips and photos from this morning's press conference will be uploaded to the NFF Media Central page on the Foundation's website, footballfoundation.org. Video and photos from tonight's annual awards dinner will be added later this evening. It's now my honor to introduce National Football Foundation President and CEO Steve Hatchell. For the past 4 decades, Steve has been at the forefront of collegiate athletics. Since 2005, he has headed the National Football Foundation, expanding its reach and impact while promoting and protecting the game. So please help me welcome Steve Hatchell.
Thank you so much, Kevin. Good morning, everybody. On behalf of the National Football Foundation, our chairman, Archie Manning, and our wonderful board of trustees, we are excited to welcome the college football community to the 67th NFF Annual Awards Dinner presented by Las Vegas. We've been hosting this event since 1958, when President Dwight Eisenhower took a break from the campaign trail to accept the NFF Gold Medal as the award's first recipient. He was the first of 7 presidents that have received such an award from the foundation. The highlight of the celebration has been the induction of our game's greatest legends. And always keep in mind, since 1869, when football started, there have been roughly 6 million people that have played college football. It's a great fraternity. So to be able to put this group into the Hall of Fame is unbelievably significant. I'd like to also congratulate the 2025 NFF College Football Hall of Fame class for their remarkable accomplishments. The Honors Court is led by our chairman of the Honors Court, Archie Griffin, who once again did a masterful job of working with the Honors Court to pick this year's Hall of Fame class. It's a great moment for us, and we get a chance to thank all of them and recognize them tonight at our dinner. I'd also like to congratulate our 2025 major award recipients. The great thing about the Football Foundation, which we inherited, is that we have the ability and we have the obligation to recognize the good things in our sport. The Distinguished American Award recipient is the Army-Navy game. What a game. We get a chance to pat them on the back. And tonight we'll be joined by Lieutenant General Steve Gilliland, Army Superintendent, their Athletic Director, Tom Theodorakis, Navy Superintendent Lieutenant General Michael Borg-Schulte. They give us some fun names to go through. And Navy Athletics Director Michael Kelly. The Toner Award winner, the Athletic Director of the Year, is Rob Mullen from Oregon, and what a great job he is doing and has done. Our ESPN Legend Award, the Schenkel Award, goes to Lee Corso. And just think of what he's done for the many decades to help better football, not only as a coach, but what he's done on ESPN. Our NFF Legacy Award recipients go to people who it's our chance to turn around and say, these people made a difference for the Football Foundation and for football overall. Norma Dean, Steve Richardson, Langston Rogers, Paul Rogers, Gary Stoken. It's our way to say thank you to their contributions to all of the wonderful things they've done. We'd also like to thank all of you media for being here today. This helps shine a bright light on the good things in the game of college football and all of football. So thank you very much. It's a wonderful opportunity to look at the good things in our sport. This year marks the 5th year that this annual gathering has taken place in Las Vegas. And as Kevin pointed out, we are really thrilled to be able to say thank you to Steve Hill, who is the president and CEO of the Las Vegas Convention and Visitors Authority. They were on the red carpet, and they cut through a lot of red tape for us to make this happen. I'd also like to personally thank Dean Douglas from Elite Media Network, and as Kevin mentioned, for the 2nd year in a row, they are the sponsor of our press conference. And thank you so much, Dean. It's wonderful. And we'd like to mention to the Hall of Famers when they come up here that we have a new twist. There will be an official Hall of Fame watch at each of your spots when you sit down. And we would hope that when you look at that watch moving forward, that you would always remember that you have a special place in college football, and that we all salute you for what you have done and the impact and for making football so much better. So thank you so much. With that, I'll turn it back to Kevin. But the most important thing is thank you for being here today. It's not only wonderful to see you, but thank you for making sure that we get to say football is very, very special. Thanks much.
Thank you so much, Steve. And if now I could invite my friends from the MEAC to join me on stage, we will continue with our program. Since 2016, the NFF has partnered with the Eastern Athletic Conference to announce the league's Players of the Year. The relationship started with former MEAC Commissioner, NFF Board Member, and College Football Hall of Famer Dr. Dennis Thomas, and continues to flourish today under the leadership of Sonia Stills, the first female commissioner in MEAC history. And now, please welcome Commissioner Stills and the 2025 MEAC Players of the Year. Sonia?
Okay, good morning, everybody, and good morning to those joining us on ESPN Plus live stream. I am again Commissioner Sonia Stills, and it's my honor to bring greetings on behalf of the Mid-Eastern Athletic Conference, Council of Chief Executive Officers, and our Elite 8 member institutions. First, I want to extend my heartfelt thanks to the National Football Foundation, its President and Chief Executive Officer, Steve Hatchell, Chief Operating Officer, Matthew Sine, and the College Football Hall of Fame for their continued partnership with the MEAC. Since 2016, the NFF has provided a prestigious platform to recognize the MEAC Offensive and Defensive Players of the Year on a national stage. We sincerely appreciate the commitment, the visibility, and the recognition this moment provides our student athletes and our programs. Before we begin, I'd like to acknowledge several distinguished supporters in attendance. From South Carolina State University, Director of Athletics, Buddy Pugh. From North Carolina Central University, Assistant Football Coach Matt Leone, and Deputy Athletic Directors Maurice Williams and Chris Johnson. And former MEAC Commissioner and member of the College Football Hall of Fame, Dr. Dennis Thomas. We also welcome the families of today's honorees and the many MEAC representatives joining us this morning. As a reminder, on Saturday, our South Carolina State Bulldogs will represent the MEAC in the Cricket Celebration Bowl. We invite all MEAC fans to come out and support South Carolina State in Atlanta or catch the game live on ABC at noon. We also ask for your continued support of the MEAC Foundation by visiting meacfoundation.org. Your generosity helps us further our mission and invest in our student athletes across all 8 member institutions. And now it is my privilege to announce the 2025 Offensive and Defensive Players of the Year. The 2025 MEAC Offensive Player of the Year is Walker Harris, quarterback from North Carolina Central University. Walker is a senior from Wake Forest, North Carolina, and he delivered an outstanding season for the Eagles. Before I present this award, I'd like to highlight a few of his accomplishments. Walker appeared in 12 games and completed 234 of 375 passes for 3,214 yards, leading the MEAC and ranking 5th in the FCS. He threw 24 touchdowns, the most in the conference, and ranked 15th nationally. He finished second in MEAC with a 62-point completion percentage. He also led the conference in passing yards per game, points responsible for, passing yards per completion, and total offense. Walker was a finalist for the 2025 Walter Payton Award presented to the FCS National Player of the Year. He earned 3 MEAC Player of the Week honors and was named HBCU Player of the Week by Stats Perform. Walker was also named a finalist for the HBCU National Player of the Year. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in congratulating the 2025 MEAC Offensive Player of the Year, Mr. Walker Harris of North Carolina Central University. Next, it is my honor to recognize the 2025 MEAC Defensive Player of the Year. The recipient is Jared Washington, defensive back from South Carolina State University. Jared is a senior from Fredericksburg, Virginia, and a force in the South Carolina State secondary. He was instrumental in leading the Bulldogs to their second consecutive MEAC championship and birth to the Cricket Celebration Bowl. Here are some of his highlights from his remarkable season. Jared recorded 32 tackles, including 29 solo stops, 2 interceptions, 1 he returned for a touchdown, 1 forced fumble, and a blocked field goal returned for a touchdown. Jared led the entire FCS with 20 pass breakups. He was named FCS National Defensive Player of the Week after becoming the only FCS player this season to record 6 passes defended in a single game, a feat he accomplished twice. In that same standout performance, Jared scored 2 touchdowns, including a 27-yard pick six and a 56-yard return following a blocked field goal. Jared was a finalist for the 2025 Buck Buchanan Award, which recognizes the top defensive players in the FCS. He was a preseason and postseason first-team All-MEAC selection and a finalist for the HBCU National Player of the Year honor presented by Stats Forum. Please join me in congratulating the 2025 MEAC Defensive Player of the Year, Mr. Jared Washington of South Carolina State University. All right, congratulations once again to our Offensive and Defensive Players of the Year, Walker Harris and Jared Washington. Gentlemen, you represent the very best of MEAC football, and we are proud to cement your legacy in the record books. Lastly, I would also like to take a moment to recognize Norfolk State head football coach Michael Vick, who will be inducted into the College Football Hall of Fame later this evening. We are incredibly proud to celebrate this tremendous achievement alongside the Norfolk State Spartans, Coach Vic, and his entire family. Thank you for joining us for today's announcement, and congratulations once again to the 2025 College Football Hall of Fame inductees who will be honored later today. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Guys, we'll get a picture real quick, and then we'll go ahead and ask you quick questions.
Okay. So sorry.
Yeah, go ahead and grab a quick picture there.
Okay, ma'am. You want to pick it up?
There we go. Thank you. All right, thank you, gentlemen. If we'll have a seat, and we'll ask you a quick question. If you'll hit the button on the right, you'll be able to speak. Walker, we'll start with you. So many dynamic offensive players in this league. What does it mean to you to be named the MEAC Offensive Player of the Year?
Man, it means a lot. It's an honor. Like you said, there's a lot of great talent in this conference. I've said it once, I've said it plenty of times. The MEAC is one of the underrated conferences in the FCS, so definitely honored to do that. I think it's a reflection of me and my teammate and my coach's hard work this season, and something we've been able to accomplish. So I'm honored. It's a privilege to be here, and I'm blessed. I feel blessed.
Well, congratulations. Certainly well-deserved. And Jared, I understand this may be the first award you've received. Talk about what it means for that first award to be the MEAC Defensive Player of the Year.
Really, it's a blessing, but I like to give all the praise to God. It means a lot, though, coming from junior college, coming from Division II, to being a Division All-American, back-to-back, and Defensive Player of the Year. It means the world.
Gentlemen, congratulations. Thank you for being great representatives of the MEAC and of college football. Good luck against Prairie View A&M in the Celebration Bowl. And congratulations. Please welcome and recognize our MEAC Offensive and Defensive Players of the Year. At this time, we're going to take a quick break before continuing with Group 1 of the 2025 NFF College Football Hall of Fame class. We'll be back with you momentarily. Good morning once again. Now time to hear from our first group of esteemed 2025 NFF College Football Hall of Fame class. After hearing from each inductee, there will be an opportunity for breakout interviews with Group 1 until 10:30 here in the back of the room or in Go Gone 2. So be sure to stick around for that. Of the more than 6 million people that have played college football since the first game in 1869, only 1,111 players and 237 coaches have been inducted into the NFF College Hall of Fame. That's less than 0.02%. These numbers include the 2025 class, which will be officially inducted this evening during the 67th NFF Annual Awards Dinner presented by Las Vegas. Before we hear from the 2025 NFF Hall of Fame class, we'd like to give a quick thanks to all of those sports communications directors who play such a critical role in today's events. Your efforts are certainly appreciated. And now it's time to meet Group 1 of our 2025 Hall of Famers. Up first, a consensus first-team All-American linebacker at Auburn from 1981 to 1984, Gregg Carr. He ranks second in school history with 453 tackles and was also recognized as an NFF National Scholar Athlete. Gregg, you've achieved so much at the highest level in football and academics, and now as an orthopedic surgeon. How do you connect your Hall of Fame induction to all that you've achieved in your life?
Well, first of all, I'd like to thank the National Football Foundation for this incredible award, this recognition and the opportunity to represent my school and all those players that I played with. I think all of us up here would agree that we're only here because of the efforts of a lot of really good people around us. So football for me was an opportunity that exposed me to a lot of things that I probably would not have had exposure to. It was an opportunity to get an education, and the things that I learned from football have been invaluable in my life and in my journey into what I currently do.
Gregg, you had a chance to play in one of the most reveled games in college football, the Iron Bowl. What would you describe that to those that have not had the chance to compete or coach in that game?
So, all of us here have our rivals that we compete against, and I don't mean to imply that the Iron Bowl is any greater than those, but it's certainly in the state of Alabama in the Southeast. It's a hotly contested football game. I'm from Birmingham. I grew up around the Iron Bowl. This is just part of who I am, and I think the kids that grew up in the state and followed the Iron Bowl throughout their lives, it takes on a special meaning. Of emotions. I think the Iron Bowl was unlike any other game that I played in. I was fortunate to play in 4 of them, and before that game, unlike any other game, I was emotionally exhausted. It's if you get caught in the emotions of the game, that's one game that can happen, and it's a special experience. There's no love lost between the 2 programs, but there's also a tremendous amount of respect between the 2 programs, and I think that the quality of play for both of those programs has elevated to the magnitude of a rivalry.
Well, congratulations. We look forward to your induction this evening. Our next Hall of Famers are 2-time consensus first-team All-American and recipient of the Outland Trophy. Defensive tackle John Henderson started at Tennessee from 1999 to 2001. John, you were a member of the 1998 National Championship team as a redshirt freshman. How did competing in that environment shape the player and the leader that you became?
I'm gonna tell you this: it was great, because even though I had to sit out, I learned so much from Al Wilson and all those guys before me, and it gave me the opportunity to understand and see what I needed to do to prepare for next year. And I say, oh man, I sat out, but it's okay. But I learned so much in that time, and it was great for me, and look what he's done. So it's great.
John, I understand you were a little bit shocked when you received your box and opened it up. Take us back to that moment when you learned you would be inducted in the College Football Hall of Fame.
Oh, I saw a box. I didn't know what it was, because I didn't know the NFF was a part of the College Football Hall of Fame. So I had to call a good 20 people to know what this was. So, and then once I found out, I said, wow, okay, go.
Well, very well-deserving congratulations, John. Thanks for spending some time with us this morning. A unanimous American and winner of the Jim Thorpe Award, defensive back Michael Huff played for the University of Texas from 2000 to 2005, helping the Horns to the 2005 national title. Michael, take us back to the Rose Bowl on that 4th and 2 stop you made against USC. It set the stage for one of the greatest finishes in college football history. Delivered Texas its first national title in 35 years. When you look back, what do you remember about that moment in that pivotal game?
I think in that moment, as a senior, it's on the biggest stage in college football, in my opinion. And I knew at that moment if they made it would be my last play ever, wearing the burnt orange, being a Texas Longhorn. So for me on that play, it was just do whatever it takes to make a play. So whether that's, through the A-gap, running through a guard, like just whatever it took on that play, I was going to do it to make sure we got the ball back to Vince. And obviously everybody knows what happened when Vince got the ball. The rest is history. So I'm just glad I could be a part of one of the greatest games in college football history.
You credited, quote, Shane Akina for transforming you from a, quote, skinny track guy who didn't want to hit into the nation's best defensive back. What lessons or habits he instilled in you that carry on with you still today?
Really patience. Even just through the whole recruiting process, I wasn't heavily recruited. When I stepped off the field my senior year in high school, I didn't think I'd ever play football ever again. I was going to go run track at University of Houston, and then Texas offered, I guess they had a scholarship left over. They were like, oh, he's fast, he can go do something. So they kind of just offered me, and they told me I could run track too. So for me, football was an afterthought. So, when I got that call that I was going to the College Football Hall of Fame, I was like, y'all sure y'all want me? So for me, it just, I owe everything to Dwayne Akina and, just what he instilled in me, just toughness, hard work. You got to be disciplined, and you got to do the little things. Don't play like a robot. I'm going to give you all the tools. I'm going to give you everything you need to do. And it's when you're out there in between those white lines, just go make a play.
Well, that skinny little guy is going into the College Hall of Fame. Congratulations to you. At the University of North Dakota from 1995 to 1998, Jim Kleinsasser the two-time first-team All-American tight end for the Fighting Hawks. Jim, you stayed close to home in North Dakota despite interest from larger programs, and it clearly paid off. How did playing in that environment shape your approach to football and your approach to life?
Well, the people I encountered at UND, I mean, just the role models I had, the men that were there to shape me and guide me. Yeah, I had a lot of people pushing my sled at North Dakota, and I can't thank everyone enough for what they gave me and kind of the track that they set me on.
Okay, we have to talk about the movie 50 Dates. How did that come about, and did you ever expect to be such a pop culture reference?
I had no idea it was even in there until one of my friends called me up and said, "Hey, you're in this movie, 51st Dates." So, yeah, I had no idea, and so somebody on the set was probably a Vikings fan. So,
what a great legacy! Congratulations on your induction.
Thank you.
From 2005 to 2008, Cal center Alex Mack earned first-team All-America honors and led the Bears to their first conference title in more than 30 years. He also earned the NFF Campbell Trophy as the top scholar athlete in the nation. Alex, you're one of just 3 players in Pac-12 history to twice earn the Morris Trophy as the league's best offensive lineman. Since that award is voted by your peers, the opposing players, what do you think it said about you to have such respect from other teams and other players?
I always thought the Morris Trophy was an incredible reward or award because exactly that the people who know the game the best and who you play against respect you enough to vote you. I mean, your opponents and you're battling each day, but to have your opponent respect you and vote you there was something very powerful to me and something I was really honored to win twice because I could see when defensive players wouldn't like me very much, which is a nice respect. I don't know.
Alex, you're only the 5th Campbell Trophy recipient to enter the Hall of Fame. What does that mean to you?
I mean, it's going to all come full circle tonight when I see all the other Campbell Trophy finalists there. And I remember having a deep sense of imposter syndrome, being unworthy of the award just because of the caliber of people who were on the dais with me. And to win it that night was incredible. And I feel the same way about all the gentlemen I'm here with now with the honors. I'm blown away. I loved playing football. It's an incredible game. I did it because it was fun, and I really liked working hard and doing the best I could. And to get this award is beyond anything I ever dreamed of. I'm just filled with gratitude to all the teammates and coaches and family and friends and support I had me here. This was not done alone. I think everyone would kind of nod their head in agreement that none of us got here without the help of a lot of people, and I am filled with gratitude.
Well, congratulations. We look forward to this evening. Our next Hall of Famer is the consensus first-team All-American, Terrence Metcalf, started at Ole Miss in 1997, and from 1999 to 2001, anchoring an offensive line that allowed the fewest sacks in the SEC in back-to-back seasons. Terrence, you blocked for stars like Eli Manning and Deuce McAllister. What does it mean to you now to be recognized individually and represent Ole Miss in the College Football Hall of Fame?
Well, it means the world. Again, like Max said, I wouldn't be sitting here today if it wasn't for so many other people. And when you talk about teammates, we all shape each other. And so my guys who have gone prior to me were Archie Manning, like Patrick Willis, and then to get this nod, it's something that I told my wife, this is a huge honor. So many guys play this game at a high level, and then when you get your name called, it just makes what you did and what people did in your life, building you, shaping you, molding you, that much more special. And it just culminates, just like he said, nothing that we have done that we do by ourselves. And to give God the glory, honestly, guys like Langston Rogers, guys like our head coaches, I had so many, offensive line coaches, Hugh Knowles, John Latina, those guys were special in my life, building me up as a young man. and then having Matthew sign and that crew select me it's a huge honor.
After your playing days, you became a coach, and your son DK has become an All-Pro. How did your experiences as a player shape you as a coach?
Well, again, it's the men in your life. It's the men that teach you how to work hard. It's the men that teach you how to be disciplined when you want to go out in high school and fool around with when you should be working. It's those guys. And so those lessons that I learned from, like I said, Hugh Nall, my O-line coach coming in as a freshman at Ole Miss, I took that to heart. And the lesson about work, if you outwork the individual over in the next state, then you'll outwork everybody in your state. The guys that names are being called, those are the guys you got to beat out. And so that's what I took with my children every day and all the young men that I coach every day. You outwork the next individual, you give God glory, and it'll work itself out.
Well, congratulations. We look forward to this evening. From 2005 to 2007, West Virginia running back Stu Slayton was a unanimous first-team All-American Heisman Trophy finalist who finished his career as the NCAA's active leader in points per game. Steve, as a freshman, you went from a fourth-string running back to setting single-season records to being the Sugar Bowl MVP. What motivated you, and how did you know the right fit for the Mountaineer program?
You never really know. You just really work hard for it. And really, at the end of the day, I think what all these guys will believe is that when the dust settles, all the work you put in will show off, and the cards will lay where they lie, to where these awards that we get to receive are beneficial. But I would say for my team, everybody from that 2005 season, all the seniors, even the state, is just that they surround you as a player and they make you want to play for them.
You helped revolutionize a West Virginia program. When you look back at the legacy that you and your teammates left, what are you most proud of?
What I'm most proud of is that the guys were still friends, we're still family. I think that's what hard work and playing football is really, one of the best team sports you can play. So I'm very proud that the guys that I grinded with are just still great men, great human beings, great fathers, great dads. So I appreciate that.
And we're proud to have you and the other inductees in this year's class. Congratulations.
Thank you.
From 1989 to 1992, linebacker Darren Smith was a two-time first-team All-American for one of the most dominant defenses in college football history, leading the Miami Hurricanes to 2 national titles. Darren, you had a magical experience at the U, playing on teams that went an astonishing 44-4 and won 2 national championships. What does it mean to you to go into the Hall of Fame, joining Coach Erickson and representing so many of your teammates in the College Football Hall of Fame?
Well, as many of the guys here have already said, football is the ultimate team sport, and you become a family when you become a football player. And just the names that you've mentioned, when I received the word that I was going to be inducted, actually I found, I started getting texts and phone calls immediately from all the guys from Miami, and it was just amazing that all the guys, Ed Reed, a phone call from Brian McKinney, and then Jimmy Johnson called me. I was like, wait a minute, this is crazy. What's going on? And again, I'm one of the guys I didn't feel worthy, because just the guys I played with in the past, I was like, man, and I think I'm the 10th Hurricane to be named on the Hall of Fame. And so it's just so many more guys that I could think of just as my teammates who deserve this recognition as well. So it's really humbling and really awe-inspiring for me.
Darren, you were recognized as an NFF National Scholar Athlete. Talk about your approach in combining academics along with football excellence.
Well, anybody who's close to me who know me knows that I want to win at whatever I do. I want to be the best. I don't care if me and someone is playing tic-tac-toe. We play tic-tac-toe all day till I win. And so my approach to life in that way, I always want to give my best effort. And the biggest reason why, because accountability is one thing that I feel is important. So being accountable to my family, being accountable to my friends and to my teammates mean that I always need to give my best effort. And so, coming up, I started playing football when I was 6, and I always loved playing football, but I didn't think that it would be something I was going to the NFL and do. And so really I looked at football as a tool to actually get my degree from college. I looked at it that way. So I was like, I'm going to use this football to earn a degree. And fortunately for me, it worked out, and I was able to play 12 years in the NFL as well.
Well, certainly worked out. Congratulations
Thank you.
to you. From 1999 to 2000, Virginia Tech quarterback Michael Vick earned first-team All-America honors and led the Hokies to an appearance in the BCS National Championship game at the 2000 Sugar Bowl. Michael, your success helped change the way people think about the way the quarterback position is played. When you reflect on your influence on today's dual-threat quarterbacks, what part of that evolution gives you the most pride in helping transform?
The fact that, we have so many quarterbacks that just believe in their abilities, and regardless of what they look like, they come and they bring their best. You have coaches now who, really look for those type of quarterbacks. And, whether you're a pocket passer, whether you're a dual threat, if you have to have the mental capacity to get it done, you can be the guy for the job. So, I just stayed true to who I was as a player. I knew that running the football and passing the football wasn't, ideal, at certain times. But, why not be a trendsetter? Why not do it your way? And my offensive coordinator, Ricky Bussell, always told me to be myself and let the chips fall where they may.
From a player to a coach, and you had a great model in Frank Beamer. Talk about how he instilled in you and what you utilize now as a coach that Coach Beamer taught you.
I wish I had the record that Coach Beamer had, but the guy next to me. I respect coaches so much. I respect, the coaching position so much, and coaches pour so much into players, and they sacrifice just as much as we do, and they believe in us probably more than we believe in ourselves. And just being on the other side of it, I felt. I wanted to reciprocate, that same love and that same teaching to my players. And so, as Frank Beamer being my head coach and being such a huge mentor in my life for so many years, I just remembered everything that he told me. And, the one thing he always said was do things the right way. And, it stuck with me, and it stuck with a lot of my teammates, and we all became very successful by just doing things the right way. So just that small message, always translated in our lives, especially in football character.
Well, congratulations. We look forward to honoring you tonight.
Thank you.
And our final Hall of Famer in Session 1, spanning 28 seasons as a head coach at Toledo, Michigan State, LSU, and Alabama, Nick Saban compiled an overall record of 297, 71, and 1, winning 80.6% of his games. Coach Saban retired as the NCAA's active leader in wins and was the first modern-day coach to win national titles at 2 different FBS schools. Coach, 7 national titles, 11 SEC championships. Aren't too bad for a guy who never really considered being a coach. After John James convinced you to be a GA for him, was there a moment or a game when you realized, hey, I might be pretty good at this coaching thing?
Well, I think I realized early on that it was really important to have great players, a lot of which are represented here tonight, a lot of good people in the organization, whether it's your administration, your coaches, the staff that you have that make it possible for you to have a chance to be successful. But, little did I know as a kid growing up, in West Virginia pumping gas at my dad's service station, that some of those lessons that I learned, it was beyond my imagination that what I would ever end up here in the College Football Hall of Fame. And also that those lessons would lead me to a process of helping people develop their full potential, players, coaches. Always wanted to have a program that will be more successful in life and reach their goals and aspirations, and that those lessons that I learned as a kid growing up would develop a process that helped do that. And, those lessons were real simple ones. First of all, compassion for other people. Treat people like you'd like to be treated. Treat people nicely on the way up. You might on the way down. It's nice to be important, more important to be nice. The second thing is regardless of what responsibility I was ever given as a kid, washing a car, if there were any streaks left on that navy blue Buick, you had to do it over. So there was always a reckoning for what I did, and that helped me tremendously, I think, from an accountability standpoint. because my dad used to always say, if you don't have the time to do it right the first time, how are you going to find the time to do it again? And the last thing is we won an extraordinary amount of games when I was a Pee Wee player and a high school player that culminated in a state championship. And after every one of those wins, I got my ass chewed out pretty good by my coaches and dad. And after all those wins, I finally asked my mom once, I said, why do I always seem to get reprimanded even when we win? And she says, it's not about winning. It's about you being the best that you can be. So those three lessons, sort of helped me develop a process that helped a lot of other people be successful, helped us be successful, and helped the people that I work with give us a chance to be successful, and I'd like to thank them for that.
Coach, talk about that. You've mentored so many coaches that have gone on that continue to add to the legacy of college football. What does it mean to watch those that you've mentored or bring up through the game find success in this game that you love?
Well, it means a lot to me because, coaching is teaching, teaching is ability to inspire learning, and, to see those coaches be able to go on and impact players in a positive way in terms of their development personally, academically, developing a career off the field, as well as, having success on the field and reach their goals and aspirations, playing in the NFL, whatever it might be. To be able to see other people, now that I'm not in the position to do that, that had some impact on, means a tremendous amount to me that those people are having success, can have success, and can impact players' lives in a positive way.
Thank you, Coach. Ladies and gentlemen, please help recognize the first group of the 2025 NFF Hall of Fame. Before the interviews with Group 1, a couple of reminders. Gentlemen, if you'll take your watch, Mr. Hatchell mentioned, take that with you. A couple of reminders, photos and video from today will be uploaded to the NFF Media Central page on the Foundation's website. Hall of Famers, after you finish your one-on-one interviews, be sure to visit Bellagio 7 up until 1 o'clock to be fitted for your official Hall of Fame jacket. We will now allow for breakout interviews of the Hall of Fame class in Group 1. There's plenty of space here in the back of the room, as well in the Go Gun 2 room. The interview room will be open to midnight. So I would ask very respectfully that media and other guests please refrain from asking for autographs and withhold from talking to the honorees until they are finished with our media. With that, we will welcome the 2025 Hall of Famers down to our breakout session. Thank you very much. It's now time to hear from the second group of our esteemed 2025 NFF College Football Hall of Fame class. Again, I'm Kevin Trainer and honored to be your moderator today. I want to outline that after hearing from each inductee, there will be an opportunity for breakout interviews either in the back of the room or in the Go Gone room 2. As I said, in our first half of the more than 6 million people that have played college football since the first game in 1869, only 1,111 players and 237 coaches have been inducted into the NFF College Football Hall of Fame. That is less than 0.02%. Those numbers include the 2025 class, which will be officially inducted tonight during the 67th NFF Annual Awards Dinner presented by Las Vegas. So without further ado, let's meet our 2025 Hall of Fame class. From 2009 to 2012, Wisconsin running back Montee was a two-time consensus first-team All-American. He also won the Doak Walker Award and set the NCAA record for points scored in a single season. Montee, what does it mean to you to go into the Hall of Fame? Looking back at your time in Madison, what were the key factors that enabled you to go from third on the depth chart to the NCAA record books?
I would have to say it was, first off, such an honor, right? Just to play for a wonderful university, play for a wonderful athletic program, and I think, of course, just buying into the system, right? We had a wonderful coach at the time, Brett B., and just literally listened to his philosophy, understanding the guys that he wanted to put on the team, put the puzzle together, and of course, run the football something that I wanted to do. And so, again, just buying into the philosophy and literally just understanding that in order to improve on the football field, I must study more tape, I must work out harder, I must run faster and get better. And so that's what I did.
Montee, you're the only player in college football history to rush for 100 yards in 3 consecutive Rose Bowls. How did you get motivated for playing at such a superb level on one of the sport's biggest stages?
It was, like I said, such a privilege to play with a wonderful offensive line. And again, just chatting with the guys here that I'm around right now, going into the Big Ten championship game, understanding that if we win it, we get to Pasadena. We understood that we didn't want to get to the finish line and stop, so we wanted to run through it. And so for myself, telling the guys as we got there, let's finish the game, get to where we need to get to, so that we can most definitely hold up the trophy, hoist it high, and to be proud to wear that motion W and take it all the way over to Pasadena. And so wonderful experiences.
Well, Montee, you are once again on one of college football's biggest stages. Congratulations on your induction.
Yes, sir.
To the
Thank
College
you.
Hall of Fame. Our next Hall of Famer was a 2-time first-team All-American who claimed the 2003 Gagliardi Trophy as the best player in Division III. Wide receiver Blake Elliott started at St. John's University in Minnesota from 2000 to 2003. Blake, you're the first player from St. John's to be inducted to the Hall of Fame. How does this shine a spotlight on the Johnnies program, and what made the culture under Hall of Fame coach Gagliardi so special?
There's a million things that made the culture with John as a coach special. All-time winningest coach in the history of college football, and to be part of that and the ecosystem that he created, there's no doubt that I would not be sitting at this stage if it wasn't for his involvement in that program for 57 years. And especially coming from a small school, if the program is not elite and competing for national championships and winning national championships every year, no matter what statistics you put up, you wouldn't receive recognition such as this. So I'm extremely grateful to be in the Hall of Fame with him.
You set an NCAA all-divisions record, 47 consecutive games with a reception. What does that record say about the small school experience and the competitiveness of D3 football?
We played in a very competitive league, and I think as we move into this new age of NIL, you're seeing guys that maybe were late bloomers that are going to smaller schools and performing very well and moving up and being very successful at larger schools. And so the opportunity to play, again, in an environment that winning was so ingrained in the program was a special opportunity.
Blake, congratulations. We look forward to celebrating with you this evening. From 2002 to 2005, Minnesota center Gregg Eslinger twice earned first-team All-America honors and won the Outland and Remington trophies. Gregg, your journey began with a homemade VHS highlight tape, for those that remember those, and a generic camp invite, a far cry from today's all-star recruiting. As you enter the Hall of Fame and you reflect on that underdog path, what do you hope that young players, especially those who aren't identified as the blue chippers, take from your story and the inspiration they can take from that journey?
Well, yeah, I mean, I look back and have done a lot of reflection on that. And, it's just me and my old man that made that VHS tape. And I came from a small town and or a smaller town in a state that wasn't heavily recruited. So we had to do a lot of our own self-recruiting. That's what we did. And so I look at that, and I look at, just coming from that atmosphere and being able to just kind of put my head down, take the opportunities as they come, and just really work hard and really appreciate it all. And so that's what kind of led me to the University of Minnesota, because there's a lot of five-star recruits that are maybe sitting on this stage. I was probably about a half star, and so I was the try-hard kid that really tried to drive his own path and make my own way. So I mean that's the advice I'd give the kids now, is just keep going.
This is not your first time honored by the NFF. You were a National Scholar Athlete. You were a finalist for the Campbell Trophy in your senior year. What inspired you and drove you to not just excel on the playing field, but in the classroom as well?
I mean, that 100% came from my home life growing up. Both my parents, who are here today, were public educators in the Bismarck public school system, and so they drove and instilled in me from the get-go of making sure I was doing well in the classroom. And growing up in Bismarck, I shared the same school as my dad, so anytime I got in trouble, I wouldn't go to the principal's office. I'd go to my dad's classroom. So I had no choice.
Well, not in the principal's office today. You're going in the College Hall of Fame, so congratulations. Yeah. Excited for that.
Appreciate it.
A 1968 consensus first-team All-American, Terry Hanratty quarterbacked Notre Dame to a 24-4-2 record from 1966 to 1968, including a share of the national title in 1966. Terry, as you enter the NFF Hall of Fame, how do you reflect on the people who impacted your journey, and what does this honor mean, especially to join your coach, Ara Parsegian, in the Hall of Fame?
Well, I think one thing about getting into the Hall of Fame, which I think everybody up here on the stage can say, it takes a lot of people to do it. You know, none of us could have done it on our own. We all had great offensive linemen around us as a quarterback and receivers. And as you mentioned, Ara Parsegian was my coach, and he was really, other than my father, the greatest single male influence in my life. He kept me very straight off the field and on the field. So that was always a great thing. But, you know, in the Hall of Fame, it's sort of a closure because you always think about things. When you were a child, you thought about growing up, and you hear certain people getting into the Hall of Fame, whether it's whatever sport. And you think, man, could that ever happen to me someday? Then all of a sudden it maybe gets a little closer, and all of a sudden it happens. And it's one of the most rewarding things in my life.
Your sophomore year in 1966 was very special, and landing you on the cover of Time magazine, playing in the game of the century, and earning a share of the national title. How did that season set the stage for the rest of your career, and what do you carry from that today?
Well, that was really interesting because our sophomore year at Notre Dame in '66, we had a great football team. There was only two question marks on the whole team, but that was the quarterback and the receiver, myself and Jim Seymour. And we had a lot of protection around us. We had a lot of time to throw the ball. And like I said before, it's such a team sport. It's not like any other sport. If there's one person who screws up on the offense, you're not going to be successful. Same thing on the defense. So it was quite a year and quite a start to my career.
Terry, congratulations.
Thank you.
We look forward to your induction. Texas Tech quarterback from 2005 to 2008, Graham Harrell earned first-team All-America honors while setting 7 NCAA records. He was also named as an NFF National Scholar Athlete as a senior. Graham, you said the most special part of this honor is the impact that Coach Mike Leach and the Air Raid era had on football. Looking back, when did you first realize that you and the staff, what they were building at Texas Tech, that would literally fundamentally change the sport at every level?
You know, when you're living in it, I don't know if you realize it's going to change the sport as much as it did. Yeah, Terry just hit on it. You know, none of us would be here without a bunch of people around us. And Mike Leach obviously played a huge role in that. And it wasn't just Coach Leach. That whole staff he had an incredible staff. And I really do feel like, I've been one of the most fortunate people in the world as far as people go. And I got to play for my dad in high school, who I thought was the greatest coach I've ever played for. And then I got to go play for Coach Leach. But on that staff, there's Dana Holgerson and Sonny Dykes and Seth Luttrell and a handful of others. And so, when you're living in it, you're just having a good time and enjoying it. And playing for Coach Leach, like I said, it was a huge honor. And the best thing, I don't know about the best thing, but one of the cool things about playing for him is I really do think he changed the sport. And it doesn't matter where you watch. It feels like nobody goes under center anymore, and everyone wants to throw the football. And Leach was kind of the pioneer of that. And so playing for him was a huge honor. And like I said, I couldn't be more blessed to have done that. And I think that coming into the Hall of Fame is kind of not just honoring me, but a lot of people that had that were with me there.
Graham, you mentioned your father, a high school coach. He was your coach. What did growing up in that household, and what did you learn from him, both on and off the field, that you now employ as a coach?
Yeah, That's a good question. You know, my dad, my earliest memories are probably just fighting with my little brother in a coach's office, you know what I mean, or in a locker room, and that's back before locker rooms were nice. It's just like a cellar underneath the gym, you know, and so that's pretty much all I remember. That's the only life I remember is growing up in there. And but, you know, Dad was, because he was a coach, he could be really hard on us on the field, but obviously as your dad, you knew he loved you, you know, and so I think that's something that I've tried to take with me is like there's got to be a high standard, and we're going to hold them to a really high standard. And you can coach guys really, really hard as long as they know you love you, as long as they know you love them. And so now being in coaching, I try to do the same. I try to hold my guys to a really, really high standard, but make sure that they know I care about them off the field as well, so that you can hold them to that high standard.
Well, congratulations. I know you made Coach Leach, your father, and coaches everywhere very proud as you're going in the College Hall of Fame.
I appreciate it.
Congratulations. Playing defensive tackle at Oregon in 2002 and from 2004 to 2005, Elliott Notre was a first-team All-American and the first Duck in history to earn Pac-10 Defensive Player of the Year honors. Elliott, looking back, what stands out most about your time in Eugene and how it shaped the player and the person you became? And what does it mean to join now Coach Mike Bellotti here in the Hall of Fame?
Yeah, so I grew up in Utah, and going to Eugene was the perfect place for me to go. Just being away from family and a place for me to just grow up as a man. And then obviously your teammates, really close teammates of mine that are going to be here tonight, that you grow with them and you become a man with them. And so you grow a lot and in college, and so they become your family for the rest of your life. And so Eugene has brought me so many things in my life, and becoming a man, and friends that become your brothers, and that it's just things that you can never, get back or never take for granted. But and now that I'm in the Hall of Fame with Coach Bellotti, it's just amazing. He was a great coach when I was there, and we won a lot of games, and it's just, it's weird that I'm here because, all I want to do is put my head down and work, and it ended up, doing well for myself, and just, very blessed and thankful for God for this honor.
A lot of people up here, everyone faced adversity, and your adversity came in 2003. You had a significant ACL injury. How did that early challenge influence your mindset and ultimately result in you being here at the Hall of Fame?
Yeah, I grew up with, faith, family, and football, and that was like my life growing up. And you say tragedy. My father passed away the year before that, and so, I lost a family member, and then was kind of mad at my God for taking him away. And so I lost faith, and then, thought I could just be the man and just, do everything with football. And then I tore my ACL. And so, I lost three of the most important things in my life. And so, obviously, you either quit and you go back home and, figure out life. But luckily for me, I had great coaches, great teammates that continue to push me and, found my faith and found, a way to push on without my father. And then just leaning on my coaches and teammates to help push me forward. And so, like I said, with Oregon being the best place for me, it was literally the best place for me.
Well, Loti, your comeback, your perseverance and resilience is inspiring, and congratulations.
Thank you.
Being inducted to the Hall of Fame. Playing defensive back at USC from 1974 to 1977, Dennis Thurman earned both consensus and unanimous first-team All-America honors, helping the Trojans win the national title in 1974. Dennis, you grew up watching USC in the Rose Bowl and even sat in the stands a year before you played in it. Now you're entering the Hall of Fame as the 35th Trojan to earn this honor. When you reflect on that journey from the kid that sat in the Rose Bowl seats to this moment, what does this recognition mean to you?
Well, as a kid growing up in Los Angeles, every January 1st, watching USC compete in that game. And finally, as a senior in high school, getting a chance to go watch them play Ohio State and got crushed by Ohio State. And I was with my pastor, and he looked at me and he said, "You'll be down there this time next year." And he was right. And we faced Ohio State. And we obviously won the game. And it was for the national championship. We didn't have the playoffs as they do now. But having that feeling and understanding that feeling of what it was like as a kid watching it every January 1st, and being in Los Angeles, your hometown, and having a chance to play in front of your family and friends was the ultimate for me. And I wasn't going anywhere else. It was either UCLA or USC, and I chose USC because it was the right place and right fit for me. John McKay was the one who recruited me. John Robinson was my coach 2 years after McKay left to go to Tampa. So I was fortunate to be coached by two of the greatest coaches in college football history. So to represent that university then and even now is a great honor.
You mentioned those two Hall of Fame coaches, Coach McKay, Coach Robinson. What did you take from them that you employed as a coach yourself?
Treat people fairly. Be honest. Be upfront. Be straightforward. Give them your best. And it served me well.
Well, congratulations, Dennis, and we look forward to honoring you this evening.
Thank you.
Playing wide receiver at Wyoming from 1990 to 1993, Ryan Yarbrough was twice named a first-team All-American after leading the nation in receiving yards in back-to-back seasons. Ryan, as you look back on your journey from the south side of Chicago to Wyoming, what was the key to your NCAA record-breaking career?
Well, the key to my NCAA record-breaking career were being able to utilize the skills that I had, but also being on the same page as the multiple quarterbacks that I had, and just being in tune with the offense, because at certain times I could have been back there playing quarterback, but they said, "No, we want you to be at receiver," helping out everybody else. But the main thing that comes to my mind as far as being able to be a record breaker was just continue to come, show up every day, and lead by example, because as some of the other guys said, especially at receiver, I had to depend on the quarterback and the offensive lineman. So if I didn't do what I was supposed to do, then none of that was supposed to happen. I mean, none of that would have happened without the rest of the teammates.
You're only the third player from Wyoming to be inducted into the NFF College Football Hall of Fame. When you think of that accomplishment, what comes to your mind?
Well, what comes to my mind about that is sitting next to Dennis Thurman here, say we got 32 more guys at Wyoming to catch up to USC. So, but the main thing that I think about is I'm just very fortunate. Like I said, if you ever hear me interview, you're going to continue to hear me say the same thing, because I'm humble when it comes to that. But the bottom line is the main thing about being a Wyoming Hall of Famer is very, very strong to me, because like everyone else on the panel, we had to all go through some adversity. And like I said, I'm just fortunate to be able to play and fortunate to be able to show what I could do.
Well, Ryan, congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Representing Bowling Green, Utah, Florida, and Ohio State, Coach Urban Meyer completed an overall record of 187-32 in 17 seasons as a head coach. Coach Meyer won 3 national titles and set the major college record with 165 wins through his first 15 seasons as a coach. Coach Meyer, you're trailing only New Rockne and Frank Leahy with your 85.4 winning percentage that ranks 3rd all-time in FBS history. What does it mean to see your name alongside such elite company, and how does it add to your own legacy as you look back on your coaching career?
Well, thanks for being here. Honored, and when I got the phone call from Steve, and I'm a college football historian. It was something I knew at a very young age. It's something I wanted to do, wanted to play as long as I could. And then I just had incredible high school coaches in my career, and I wanted to do that, and I did. And so people have been asking me quite a bit, and we had a little gathering last night at a friend's house and a bunch of former players and coaches. And when you reflect back, it humbles you to see that I had some of the greatest coaches that have coached the game on my staff and as mentors. And then I saw that some of the athletes were back last night, and I'm, again, humbled to think that I was able to recruit and coach some of the greatest that ever played the game. So tremendous honor and humbling when you think of all the great coaches that are in this incredible Hall of Fame.
Coach, we mentioned a lot of unbelievable stats. You led your teams, again, to 3 national titles, 7 conference championships. But I know as an Ohio guy through and through, is there anything sweeter than that 7-0 record versus Michigan?
No. I do get asked that. You know, Bo Schembechler became – I grew up in the Bo and Woody era, the 10-year war from Cleveland, right outside of Cleveland, Ohio. And when I was hired at Bowling Green, my first job, I get a phone call, and my assistant walked in, and she said, Bo Schembechler's on the phone. I go, really? And I pick up the phone, and he said, I understand, in his Bo Schembechler voice, I understand you're a Woody guy. I said, yes, sir. And he said, I understand you're Earl Bruce guy. I said, yes, sir. And he goes, so am I. Congratulations. I'll help you any way I can. I thought, can I come see you? And I said, sure. The next day, I'm in my little rental car driving up to Ann Arbor. Made it safely into Ann Arbor, and then got to spend 3 hours with him. So Coach Schembechler, Woody Hayes, Earl Bruce really were a big part of my life.
Well, Coach Meyer, tonight you will join those hallowed names in the College Football Hall of Fame. Congratulations. Our final inductee was the head coach at Northwestern College in Iowa from 1967 to 1994. Coach Larry Corver produced an overall record of 212, 77, and 6, winning 72.9% of his games. He led the Red Raiders to 11 postseason appearances, winning the NAIA title twice. Coach, you spent nearly 3 decades leading the program where you once played. What does it mean to you to now become the first player or coach from that program to enter the College Football Hall of Fame?
Well, I want to thank everybody for voting for me and putting this into perspective, because as I look back at why I coached for the young men, and I really wanted to see them become successful in their endeavors, and successful as husbands, and successful as fathers, and so this is why I really want to thank everybody.
Coach, despite opportunities to move elsewhere, you chose to stay at Northwestern for your entire college head coaching career. How did staying rooted in one place and building that program influence your success and encourage that longevity?
Well, I determined that I needed to succeed in coaching at a lower level, and the individuals that I worked with far exceeded my expectations, and you know, they won a couple of national championships, and they are really great, and many of them are sitting right out here today.
Well, Coach Corver, tonight you'll join the hallowed class of the College Football Hall of Fame. Congratulations, sir.
Thank you.
Let's give a warm applause for the 2025 NFF Hall of Fame class. Gentlemen, as we leave here, please take the watches that are in front of you, your College Football Hall of Fame watch. We will have breakout interviews in the back of the room. A couple of reminders, photos and video from today's press conference will be uploaded to the NFF Media Central page on the Foundation's website, footballfoundation.org. This page will also have photos and video from tonight's award dinner. Also, Hall of Famers, remember to get your, after your interviews, to get fitted for your official Hall of Fame jacket. We'll now allow for breakout interviews, and again, there's plenty of space in the back of the room for media to conduct interviews. The interview room will be open this evening. I would ask those guests to please refrain from asking for autographs and to withhold talking to the honorees until they are finished with the media. Tonight, the 2025 NFF Hall of Fame class will be officially inducted during the 67th NFF Annual Awards Dinner presented by Las Vegas, which begins tonight at 6:30 p.m. Pacific Time and will be streamed live on ESPN+. Thanks to all of you for attending today or watching today's press conference online, and a big thanks to our presenting sponsor, Elite Media Network. Have a wonderful rest of your day.